The morning sun peeked through the small, cracked window of their one-room apartment. Blessing sat on the edge of their old mattress, staring at Sarah, who was still asleep. The sight of her daughter always filled her with both pride and pain. She had raised Sarah alone after losing her husband just before giving birth. Life had never been easy for them, and every day was a struggle to survive. Blessing worked as a laundrywoman, washing clothes for wealthy families. The little she earned was barely enough to buy food, and some nights they went to bed hungry. Other times, they had just enough to keep their stomachs from rumbling too loudly. Despite everything, Blessing had done her best to send Sarah to school, hoping that education would be her daughter's escape from poverty. Sarah was intelligent and hardworking. She excelled in her studies, determined to make her mother proud. But just as she was about to complete her university degree, tragedy struck again. The final project required a fee, and no matter how hard Blessing tried, she couldn't gather the money. The day Sarah came home with the devastating news, Blessing felt as if her heart had been shattered. "I have no choice, Mama," Sarah whispered, her eyes brimming with tears. "I have to drop out." Blessing pulled her daughter into her arms, trying to fight back her own tears. "I'm so sorry, my child. I tried my best, but her best wasn't enough." A week later, Blessing was walking through a wealthy neighborhood in search of laundry work when something caught her eye. A large banner was placed at the gate of a grand mansion. "We are hiring a maid. Apply if interested." Her heart leapt with hope. Maybe this was the answer to their prayers. She knocked on the gate, and after a moment, a well-dressed woman stepped out. "How can I help you?" the woman asked, raising an eyebrow. Blessing quickly bowed her head in respect. "Good afternoon, madam," she said. "I saw the banner outside. I need a job, and I can work as a maid." The woman studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Come in." After a short interview, the woman introduced herself as Madam Vic. "You can start immediately. We will pay you 80,000 naira per month." Tears of relief welled up in Blessing's eyes. "Thank you so much, madam. Please, I have a daughter. She is at home. I don't know if she can live here with me. She can also help around the house." Madam Vic shrugged. "As long as she is well behaved, that's fine." Overjoyed, Blessing rushed home to share the news with Sarah. "Mama, are you serious?" Sarah asked, barely believing her ears. "Yes, my child. We will move into the house tomorrow." For the first time in a long while, they had something to celebrate. The next day, Blessing and Sarah moved into Madam Vic's mansion. The house was nothing like they had ever seen before: marble floors, glittering chandeliers, and a kitchen stocked with enough food to last a lifetime. Sarah was excited but nervous. She hoped they had finally found peace. But their joy was short-lived. Madam Vic had a daughter named Joy who rarely stayed at home. When she arrived and saw Sarah and Blessing, her face twisted with disgust. "Who are these people?" she demanded. Madam Vic sighed. "This is the new maid and her daughter." Joy folded her arms. "You hired a maid, not her daughter. Why is she here?" "She's only staying temporarily," Madam Vic reassured her. "Don't make a big deal out of it." Joy scoffed and rolled her eyes. But from that moment, she made it her mission to make Sarah's life miserable. She constantly sent Sarah on errands, treating her like a personal servant. Every mistake, no matter how small, was met with harsh words. Sarah endured it all. She and her mother finally had a place to stay, and she wouldn't ruin that. One day, while running an errand, something unexpected happened. As Sarah walked to the market, a luxurious black car pulled up beside her. The tinted window rolled down, revealing a handsome young man. "Hello, beautiful," he said with a charming smile. Sarah ignored him and kept walking. The man got out of the car and followed her. "Wait, I've been watching you around this estate. I really like you. My name is James, and I want to marry you." Sarah stopped and scoffed. "I'm not interested in any relationship. Please leave me alone." James looked disappointed, but didn't give up. "At least tell me your name." Sarah hesitated, then said, "Sarah, and I'm done here." She turned and walked away. James watched her go, smiling to himself. He wasn't going to give up that easily. Inside Madam Vic's house, a dark secret was waiting to be uncovered. one that would change all their lives forever. Sarah tried to push the encounter with James out of her mind. As she returned to Madame Vic's house, she had no time for distractions. Her only focus was supporting her mother and surviving in this house. However, the moment she stepped inside, she was met with a cold glare from Joy. "Where have you been?" Joy demanded, crossing her arms. Sarah held up the bag of groceries. "I went to the market, just like you asked." Joy snatched the bag from Sarah's hands and inspected the items. "You took too long. Are you trying to be lazy, or were you busy chasing after boys?" she sneered. Sarah clenched her fists, but said nothing. She had learned that arguing with Joy was pointless. No matter what she said, Joy would always find a way to humiliate her. "Next time I won't be so nice," Joy added before flipping her hair and walking away. Sarah sighed. She had hoped that staying here would bring peace, but instead it felt like another kind of prison. That night, as Sarah helped her mother in the kitchen, she decided to tell her about James. "Mama, something strange happened today," Sarah said hesitantly. Blessing looked up from the pot of soup she was stirring. "What is it, my child?" "A man approached me while I was going to the market. His name is James. He said he has been watching me and wants to marry me." Blessing's eyes widened. "Marry you?" Just like that. Sarah nodded. "I told him I wasn't interested, but he didn't seem like the type to give up." Blessing wiped her hands on her apron and sighed. "Be careful, my daughter. Some rich boys see poor girls like you as playthings. Don't let him deceive you." Sarah agreed, but deep inside, she couldn't shake the feeling that James was different. The next morning, Sarah was sweeping the living room when the door suddenly burst open. She turned to see Joy strutting inside with a huge smile on her face, and right behind her was James. Sarah's eyes widened in shock. "James, what are you doing here?" she blurted out. Joy smirked and grabbed James's arm. "Oh, you two know each other? How funny. James and I are childhood friends. We went to the same school." James looked uncomfortable as Joy clung to him. "Yes, we know each other," he said, looking directly at Sarah. Sarah's stomach twisted in unease. Joy noticed James's gaze and immediately frowned. She turned to Sarah and snapped, "Why are you looking at him like that? A girl like you should know her place." Sarah lowered her eyes. She didn't want to cause any trouble. James, however, pulled his arm away from Joy. "Sarah, I actually came here to see you." Joy's eyes widened in rage. "What?" James ignored her and turned to Sarah. "I still want to get to know you better. I meant what I said." Sarah felt the weight of Joy's furious glare, but remained silent. Before she could respond, Madame Vic entered the room. "What's all the noise about?" she asked. Joy immediately pointed at Sarah. "Mother, this maid is trying to steal my friend away from me." Madame Vic turned to James. "Is this true?" James shook his head. "No, Mom. I simply admire Sarah and wanted to speak with her." Madame Vic sighed and turned to Sarah. "Sarah, finish your chores. I don't want any unnecessary drama in my house." Sarah nodded quickly and left the room, feeling Joy's angry eyes burning into her back. That night, as Sarah lay on her bed, she knew one thing for certain. Joy now saw her as a threat, and that meant things were about to get even worse. Sarah tried to go about her duties as if nothing had changed, but she could feel the tension in the air. Joy's glare followed her everywhere, filled with hatred and jealousy. Ever since James had shown interest in Sarah, Joy had made it her mission to make her life even more miserable. The next morning, Sarah was in the kitchen helping her mother prepare breakfast when Joy stormed in, her face twisted with anger. "You," she shouted, pointing at Sarah. Sarah turned calmly. "Yes." "Who do you think you are?" Joy sneered. "Just because James spoke to you doesn't mean you're special. He is way out of your league." Sarah sighed, trying to remain calm. "I never said I was special, Joy. I'm only here to help my mother and do my work." Joy scoffed. "Then focus on that and stay away from James. If I ever see you talking to him again, I'll make sure you regret it." Before Sarah could respond, Madame Vic entered the kitchen. "Joy, what is going on here?" Joy quickly changed her expression, pretending to be innocent. "Oh, nothing, Mother. I was just reminding Sarah of her duties." Madame Vic sighed and looked at Sarah. I don't want any trouble in this house. Just do your work and stay out of unnecessary drama." Sarah nodded and kept her head down. Later that evening, Sarah went to the market as usual. She moved quickly, hoping to return home before Joy found another excuse to attack her. But just as she was about to cross the street, a familiar luxury car pulled up beside her. The window rolled down, and James smiled at her. "Sarah." She hesitated for a moment, looking around nervously. She didn't want to risk Joy seeing them together. James noticed her hesitation and sighed. "Are you afraid of Joy?" Sarah looked down. "I don't want to cause any more trouble." James stepped out of the car and stood in front of her. "You're not causing trouble, Sarah. I like you, and I won't let anyone tell me who I should or shouldn't talk to." Sarah bit her lip. "Joy won't take this lightly. She already hates me." James reached into his pocket and handed her a small phone. "Here, take this. I know you don't have a phone, so now you can call me if you ever need anything." Sarah stared at the phone, unsure whether to accept it. "Please," James said softly. "I just want to be your friend." After a long pause, Sarah took the phone and whispered, "Thank you." James smiled. "Good. Now go before Joy sends spies after you." Sarah chuckled and hurried back to the house, tucking the phone safely in her pocket. That night, Sarah lay on her bed, staring at the phone in her hands. She had never owned a phone before. It felt strange, but also exciting. Just as she was about to put it away, the door swung open, and Joy burst into the room. "What are you hiding?" Joy demanded, stepping closer. Sarah quickly put the phone under her pillow, but it was too late. Joy's sharp eyes had already noticed. She lunged forward and grabbed Sarah's pillow, pulling out the phone. Her eyes widened in fury. "Where did you get this?" Sarah swallowed hard. "It's none of your business." Joy smirked. "Oh, I see. James gave it to you, didn't he?" Sarah didn't answer. Joy's grip tightened around the phone. "You think you're smart? You think you can steal James from me?" Before Sarah could react, Joy raised the phone high and smashed it against the floor, shattering it into pieces. Sarah gasped. "Joy, why would you do that?" Joy smirked. "Because you don't deserve nice things." Tears filled Sarah's eyes as she stared at the broken phone. She had never hated anyone in her life, but at that moment, she truly despised Joy. Joy leaned closer and whispered, "Stay away from James, or next time it won't be just your phone that gets destroyed." She turned and walked out, leaving Sarah trembling with rage and heartbreak. Sarah sat on her bed, staring at the shattered pieces of the phone James had given her. Anger and frustration boiled inside her, but she refused to cry. She had endured many things in her life, but Joy's cruelty was pushing her limits. Her mother, Blessing, walked in a few minutes later and noticed Sarah's expression. "My child, what's wrong?" she asked gently. Sarah hesitated before showing her the broken phone. "James gave it to me, but Joy destroyed it." Blessing sighed. "I warned you to be careful, Sarah. That girl will do anything to hurt you." Sarah clenched her fists. "Ma, why does life always have to be this hard for us? We have done nothing wrong, yet people treat us like we are nothing." Blessing sat beside her and held her hand. "Because, my child, we were born into struggles, but remember, no condition is permanent. Our story is not over yet." Sarah nodded, but deep inside, she wished things would change soon. The next day, James arrived at Madame Vic's house, hoping to see Sarah. But before he could even ask for her, Joy appeared, blocking his path. "James, you came to see me?" she asked excitedly, flipping her hair. James sighed. "Actually, no. I came to see Sarah." Joy's smile disappeared instantly. "Sarah? That girl again." "Yes, Joy. And I know what you did," James said coldly. "You broke the phone I gave her. Why are you so cruel to her?" Joy crossed her arms. "Because she's a nobody, James. She doesn't belong in our world." James shook his head in disappointment. "You know, I used to think you were just spoiled, but now I see that you're truly wicked." Joy gasped. "How dare you say that to me?" James stepped closer. "Listen to me, Joy. You can insult Sarah. You can try to make her life miserable, but it won't change how I feel. I love her, and nothing you do can stop that." Joy's face turned red with fury. "We'll see about that," she hissed before storming away. Later that night, Sarah had just stepped out of the bathroom when she heard a voice coming from Madame Vic's room. The door was slightly open, and curiosity pulled her closer. She paused when she heard Madame Vic talking on the phone. "I'm telling you," Madame Vic said in a hushed, emotional voice, "CIP Hospital was where I gave birth, not just to one child, but to twins. Something went wrong that day. I felt it. I only left with one baby. The nurses told me she was my only child, but my heart never believed it." Sarah's heart dropped. Twins? CIP Hospital? That was the same hospital she was born in on the same day. She couldn't ignore the strange twist of fate. Her fingers trembled as she rushed down the hallway to her mother's room. "Mom," she called out, breathless. "I just heard something. Madame Vic said she gave birth to twins at CIP Hospital on the same day you gave birth to me." Blessing looked up, confused. "Yes, that's the hospital where I had you." "Why?" Sarah sat on the edge of the bed. "Mom, what if there was a mix-up? What if something happened that day?" Blessing's expression darkened. "Don't say such things." "No, listen," Sarah insisted. "You once told me that your pregnancy scan said you were expecting a boy, but you gave birth to a girl. Didn't that ever seem strange to you?" Blessing's eyes began to fill with uncertainty. I thought the scan was wrong, but now I'm not so sure." Without another word, Blessing stood and held Sarah's hand tightly. "Come with me. We're going to see Madame Vic right now." They walked straight to Madame Vic's room. She looked surprised to see them. "Mom," Blessing began gently, "my daughter overheard your phone call. You said you gave birth to twins at CIP Hospital." Madame Vic sat up, nodding slowly. "Yes. I've always believed I was supposed to have 2 children, not 1. Blessing took a deep breath. "I was in the same hospital. I gave birth on the same day, but I was told I had a girl, even though my scan said it would be a boy." Madame Vic's face grew pale. "No. Are you saying what I think you're saying?" Sarah looked between the 2 women. There could have been a mistake or something worse. Madame Vic stood abruptly and walked toward the window. "All these years, I knew something wasn't right." Blessing nodded, holding back tears. "I think we need to get the authorities involved. We need answers." Madame Vic turned to them, eyes firm. "You're right. I'll call the police. If there was a switch, it's time we found out the truth." In that moment, 3 lives changed forever. What had been hidden for years was finally coming to the surface. And it all began with a phone call Sarah was never meant to hear. While the investigation began, something else happened. At James's house, his father found a long-forgotten letter tucked inside an old box. It was a DNA result from years ago, never opened. He opened it now, hands shaking. His eyes scanned the paper. It was true. James was not his biological son. Shocked, he called Madame Vic. "Madame Vic," he said, "you need to come here. There's something you must know. James isn't my son." Soon, the police brought in the nurse who was on duty at CIP Hospital that day, Simi. She broke down under questioning. "It was Miss Ruth," she confessed. "James's mother. She paid me. She couldn't have any more children and desperately wanted a boy." Simi continued. "So I took the baby boy from Blessing and gave him to Ruth. Madame Vic gave birth to twin girls. I gave one girl to Blessing and left one with Madame Vic." There was silence. The whole truth had finally come out. "So Sarah and Joy are twin sisters?" the investigator asked. Simi nodded. "Yes. And James? He's Blessing's biological son." Tears streamed down everyone's faces. Madame Vic reached for Sarah and hugged her tightly. "You're my daughter, my baby girl." Blessing stood beside her, holding James's hand. "And you? You're my son." Sarah looked at Joy, her twin, the sister she never knew she had. Joy fell to her knees. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I didn't know we were sisters. I said terrible things to you. I was jealous. I am truly sorry." Sarah bent down and hugged her. "You're my sister. That's all that matters now." James stepped forward. "I love you, Sarah. Whether by blood or not, nothing changes that." Sarah smiled, tears in her eyes. "I love you too." In time, Sarah and James got married in a beautiful ceremony filled with love, healing, and new beginnings. Their story, a tale of loss, lies, and rediscovery, ended with family, forgiveness, and unity. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.